Dear students, now we are going to discuss about the capacity sensor. So what is capacity sensors means? It is a type of proximity sensor that detect nearby objects by a electric field strength effect formed by the sensor. So the sensors are similar to radar in that they can detect electrical components while monitoring and also by a insulating material such as plastic or wood. So here, the first thing we should know what is capacity sensor in detail. The first thing, it is a capacity sensor mainly we are using for proximity purpose. So it will be easily detect and measure various things such as movements, chemical properties, displacement, and electric field. And also it indirectly detect many other variables that can be converted into dielectric component. For example, acceleration, pressure, composition, and fluid level. So this sensor, first it will be generate electric field from the sensors detecting in order to detect the targets. So the sensor can detect any object that can disturb the electrical field. So for that, you might learn this formula also in many places. So what is capacitor? Actually, capacitor is we need to make two parallel plate and in between some gap we are introducing. Yes, the similar way only here also that same based on that basic capacitance effect we are developing this capacitive sensor. So for that this main formula is involving, see here, epsilon naught into epsilon r into a divided by h. So here the first thing is what is epsilon r means depend on the material that relative dielectric constant variable will be varying. For example, if you are using that metal in the different materials, so that will be having different dielectric constant. And also where you are keeping that metal. So what is capacitance? Capacitance means you have to keep the two parallel metal plate parallelly. So in between you need to keep some gap also. So that free space only here they mention as dielectric constant for free space. And the next thing is overlapping area of two plates. So how much area it cover the two parallel plates. So that is the overlapping area of two plates. The next thing is width of the gap between two plates. So in between this two plate, how much gap you are introducing. So remember this formula epsilon naught into epsilon r into a divided by h. So what is capacitance? You need to keep, see here this diagram. So you need to keep these two parallel plate like that. So in that this overlapping area is called as A and this in between distance you are called as H, and also we are using depend on the material. So what is the dielectric constant, and that epsilon naught will be common for that all the capacitors, that is the dielectric constant we are using for free space. Okay, so this is the basic concept involving in the capacitance sensor. And the next thing is what are the components of capacitance sensors means here, see here, the first thing is target, that means which object you need to measure. So that is your target. So which what parameter you need to analyze or what parameter you need to measure, that is your target part. And so this is one plate. So this is the plate 1 and this is plate 2, that means sensor part. The sensor part is plate 2. So the sensor is one plate and this what which object you are keeping, that is the another plate. So now you are keeping two plates. So in between you are introducing this gap. So now the sensor will be the using of that electric field strength, it will be sensing the information from the object and that will be storing in the oscillator part. And that oscillator part how much amount the signal receiving, that will be measured by this trigger circuit. Finally that will be showing in the output switching devices. It may be in any measurement. So the next part is, see here. So here we are going to discuss that four parts in detail. The first thing, sensor body. So it allows the sensors to function housed within the sensor's body and sensoring phase. So that is a detecting phase in the portion of the sensor. So light indicator. So this indicator light is used to measure. So how much amount of illumination that is using. So here this light illuminate when you go within the sensing range of the sensor and turn off the target is outside of the sensing range. And sensor connection, the sensors can be occurred with the cable just now attached or with a connector into which the cable screws. And what are the properties means, the first thing is it will be detect non-metallic target also, and also it detect lightweight or small object, And so actually this main purpose of this capacity sensor, so wherever the mechanical limit switches cannot detect, that will be able to connect detect by this capacity sensor. And also here it have a high switching rate of quick response in object counting application, and also it will be detect the liquid targets also. And what are the capacitor sensors working principle means, see here, here that many types of capacity sensors are there. So detect the analog information. This is analog capacity sensor, and so the miniature capacity sensor is used to measure that small levels of uh, amplifiers or any potentiometers, anything is there, we can measure easily using of this. And the next thing is high temperature capacity sensor, so where the sensor heat is subjected to extreme the temperature. The next thing is cylindrical sensor, so this is the bigger than the miniature circuit, but it is used for measuring the distance and variety of house widths. So for that we are using. So the main advantage of capacitive sensors is it can use the non-metallic contacts also, and we can build an also an adjustable, and we can identify dense target as well as liquids, and it is very less expensive, and also we can use only small amount of force only, and it will be providing high resolution and wide frequency response. And what are the disadvantages means, we can it will be extremely sensitive to the changing the environment condition like temperature and humidity. And where we are using this application is, so it detects things that conductive but lack dielectric and such as air. And we can use for cell devices, tablets, digital sound players, and also some mechanical buttons. Thank you.